the entire idea of Nijana Bakery came about, and how did Dr. Dhara become the bakerpreneur?
I think it's a nice ride for me as well. Cakes, my kids love them, my family loved them. And then in 2018, finally, I launched Nitzana. Nitzana is now a very essential part of my life. I wanted those kids or friends of my kids to have the best versions of the cakes. Nitzana's focus in the baking journey is to use the time tested ingredients.
If you had a sort of a movie that you would be making, or a title to a book that you've been through so far, what title would you give that book rather? Hi, Dr. Zara. How are you? We're finally getting to do this. We live, 2 floors apart, but we've never sat down and talked about your journey and how Nijana came about. So I would love to hear a little bit of how the entire idea of Nijana Bakery came about, and how did Dr. Zara become the bakerpreneur?
Okay. I think it's a nice ride for me as well because Nitzana is now a very essential part of my life. And whatever I have envisioned for my kids, I'm putting right into the front of everyone because I always wanted to feed my kids best versions of the bakery products where I got to know in the market there are not such great products because they use premixes and low quality chocolates and everything. But again, so my baking journey started in 2017 where I realized that my kids love bakes and cakes. So I started finding better versions of the ingredients used in the cakes, and then I started baking those cakes. My kids loved them, my family loved them, and then in 2018, finally I launched Nitzana as a bakery, and then I started baking for other kids as well. I wanted those kids or friends of my kids to have the best versions of the cakes because in market the cakes are being baked by premixes. Lot of other, like most of the commercial cakes are being made with the help of premixes. Very few bakeries are using their host. They are using baking the cake from the scratch.
Right.
So that's how the Nitzana started shaping up, and we are here since last 6 years and doing good.
So you mentioned that you started baking in 2017-18. When exactly did you feel that, given this is a bakery experiment that started off with, when exactly did you think that this can be a viable business, and how can you take it forward?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I always wanted to have my kids the best versions of the baking items that I'm providing to them. But at the same time, I always wanted others' kids who are of their age or their friends also have the same experience of the healthy and tasty baking. So let's say my vision at that time for the Nitzana was to have a best ingredients in the cake, and I always wanted those kids to have the best versions of the baking items like cakes, chocolates even. So I tried my best to get the best ingredients from the market and created some of the great, good, actually better versions of the cake, healthier cakes, and served to them, and they loved it. And that's how the Nitzana started its journey. A lot of friends also helped me to get the orders, and I started from the scratch, and even and in no time I realized that I have reached to the stage where a lot of orders are coming and a lot of people are coming to my place to get the orders done. And then we realized that, and at that time I think in 2019 and we realized that COVID is coming and people are also coming to our place. So we realized that it has to be shifted to the proper place where we can give them so-called Nitzana cakes. So yeah, so we ventured out of our home and the professional kitchen done. And then we started Nitzana.
Interesting. So you're saying somewhere around 2019, 2020 is where that home baker became a bakerpreneur.
Yeah.
It's you mentioned ingredients, and I think that is one of the key things that we've also been battling with, or talking about. Not exactly battling with, but everyone always says कि तुम भले ना कितना भी अच्छा ingredient यूज करो, expensive होते जाएगा, and लोग को इतना खर्चा नहीं करना, क्योंकि at the end of the day it's a dessert, any random dessert that they are talking about कि मिठाई की बात है, but it's important that when the kids come back home after a long day at school, you want to give them something good. And that is, I think, at the core of what you're talking about. Just want to understand, how do you keep this balance between ensuring that you're communicating, that you're using good ingredients? You make vegan cakes, you make gluten-free cakes. Whenever you're using flour, you're using only whole wheat flour. You use jaggery as a sweetener. And these have always been there in our cultural aspect.
Yes.
But kabhi cakes mein that hasn't come through.
Yeah. So, sorry.
No, so exactly. I just wanted to try and understand, how did you get that encouragement?
So I always wanted to use time-tested ingredients. Nitzana's focus in the baking journey is to use a time-tested ingredients, where lots of other ingredients are thrown into the market right now. They have a very, those are again emulsifiers, and a lot of other ingredients are being used in the confectionaries that are not time tested. They are launched just in like 10 or 12 or 20 years ago, but we do not know the health aspect of those ingredients. So, being an Indian, I always have felt that Indians are fed a very low quality food from the bigger companies. And I think we share the generation where we have realized that these foods are not good for our kids and for us as well. So I want Nitzana's vision is to have a premium quality, good quality food which is deserved by each and every Indian. Of course, we'll go global as well. But again, ingredients matters, because a lot of companies who are selling cakes and cookies and this chocolates are not using the pure form of ingredients. Where India is a country where compound chocolate is still being used in a major amount, where I think people should understand what is the difference between couverture and compound chocolate, right?
Right.
Couverture is much, much, much better than the compound one, always. So I always realized that this is the gap where Indian consumers or Indian market is not fitting, that like they are serving cakes, cookies and chocolates, but they are not up to the quality what every Indian kids or a human should be offered, right?
No, I think you made a very good point. There is this whole aspect of compound that you're talking about, and interestingly, the same companies that are giving compound here, when they're making it back in Europe, there's nothing like compound. It's sold in a store. It's sold in a hardware store.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, the entire concept of couverture and cocoa butter is, as you're saying, a time-tested ingredient. It started off 2,000-3,000 years back, and it's ingrained in ancient cultures. So, similarly, of course, palm oil, etc., recent additions and something to make the product viable, quote unquote, on a purse rather than viable on the body.
Exactly.
And we're looking at things wherein we are not looking at what we are feeding our child or our the people who are coming to eat. You also mentioned something about how it's important that we are aware of what is going into what we are eating. Now, everyone looks at cake as chocolate cake, and they don't know what chocolate is there inside. How are you exactly putting that across in Nitzana? I think one of the core things that really connected with me, I'm diabetic. So for me to try and understand that you're making something sugar-free as well is very important. And these options are not available readily. How are you putting across that this particular cake or this particular confectionery is made with clean ingredients? How are you putting that across to the audience?
So to begin with, when I launched in Nitzana, it was very clear to my customer that I will not be using icing or fondant or refined sugar or refined flour in our bakes. So from that point of time, like, we have not used a single drop of icing or a fondant in our bakery. So my customer base know that Nitzana will provide me the best of everything, and they know that they will not use any ingredient. We even mention ingredients of the cakes and whatever we put into the cake or bakes. So they know that they are not going to give any harmful preservatives even in the cake. We mention clearly that this cake is baked at this time, and it can be consumed for next 6 or 7 days if you keep it in this temperature. This is what we give, and I think that's what is every customer should be
Expecting, yeah,
expecting.
at the least. Absolutely.
Because they are paying for the quality of the product that we are giving. But again, Nitzana cakes are always going to be the fresh one. They are always going to be the time-tested ingredients. That's what ingredients matters, actually, again.
Wow, I think that's a very interesting point that you say, that you are telling them exactly when it's baked. You're giving them an ingredient list. Of course, FSSAI requires it, but not too many people are complying with that. And you're actually telling them that this is the shelf life of this would be 6 to 7 days or whatever be the exact shelf life. You're, I think beyond that, going back to the point of price, we are sitting in 24 September or October as of now, and we've seen a huge rise in chocolate. Now, there are two ways to look at it, and every commodity goes through this. I'm sure a lot of people go up to you and saying, why is this chocolate cake double the price of what it was 3 months back? It's important, sort of, like you're saying, the ingredients matter. These are market forces that are leading the price. But at the end of the day, our health is permanent. And we shouldn't suddenly switch to palm oil just because the prices of chocolate have gone higher. And just being honest through and through, I'm sure you would be facing a lot of that as well in terms of chocolate requirements. I'm sure people shift to non-chocolate cakes, maybe temporarily. But at the same time, if someone's really craving chocolate, they probably have to pay the price given the price rise of chocolate. How are you exactly explaining that to a customer who's aggrieved by this price rise?
So yeah, my customers always ask me that why, because we have faced a lot of this prices, your cakes are too pricey thing. So I always tell them that we use the best chocolate and we use the couverture one. So couverture chocolate, what is now the question comes from them is, what is couverture chocolate? Because Indian consumers do not know what is couverture chocolate. So we have to explain that this chocolate is made up of the best cocoa butter and the cocoa powder, which is unsweetened, and the best quality of sugar as well. So then they understand, because Nitzana is telling them, and Nitzana has been giving them the best quality of the cakes since last 6 years. They trust us and they pay the price for whatever the price hike. A lot of customers are like itna महंगा cake hoga, but they will still buy because they know the quality of the cakes we are giving. I have been like, a lot of our customers say that let's go for a fresh fruit cake then. We don't want a chocolate cake. But again, chocolate cake is the guilty pleasure for everyone. So, and then we add ganache also. And again, ganache means a pure chocolate form and just cream. Of course, we can also do the vegan with the coconut cream. But yeah, so people love this Couverture. Once they start eating Couverture chocolate, they are never going to go back to compound. That is for sure. And I think that is helping us also to maintain that quality, that premiumness to our customers.
Nice. I mean, it's great to hear. What is your earliest memory with chocolate?
My mama, the maternal uncle, used to come to Vadodara every now and then, and he will give whenever I see his shoes out of my home, and I'll just go to the kitchen and open the fridge, and there will be a box of chocolates always. But again, now that phase has gone, because now I have realized there are a lot of good chocolates to be are there in the market, and now I don't like them anymore, the commercial ones. I like the chocolate which has, I'll definitely see the ingredients now,
Interesting.
and that's why I love the Couverture chocolate. And I used to go to Canada to visit my family there. There I realized that in India there is such a low quality of chocolates that is in that those are in the market.
Right. Commercially.
So there again, that's a developed country. So-called Canada is a developed country. Again, India is very for them. But of course, India is a very rich food history. So why not Indians are having this urge to have the best quality of everything?
Absolutely.
Right? Because Indians deserve everything like the best.
And we've had a rich culture, as you mentioned, of good food history.
Exactly.
In fact, Canada doesn't Canada doesn't grow their own cacao, which is something that India does.
Yes.
Neither does Europe.
Yes, exactly.
So
they have the best chocolates.
Yes. So I think technology-wise and understanding the flavor of chocolate is something that is coming closer to home now. And we've got a lot of good craft chocolate manufacturers in India.
Exactly.
It's a revolution that's about to start off. I've been meaning to ask you, and I just remembered, what does Nitzana mean? Where does that name come from?
Okay, so Nitzana means a bird or a budding lotus. Lotus bird is called Nitzana.
Okay.
It's in I think it's in Hebrew.
Okay.
The language is Hebrew. And this name, I remember I traveled in some of the South African country, and there I saw this name Nitzana, and it hit me like, why Nitzana? Nitzana is, and you have a connection to some names. So that's what it is.
Interesting. So this is, so just to try and elaborate on that story, how do you see that connecting with your brand, and how do you see basically beyond just being clean ingredient based, what do you think that in your thought process from becoming a home baker to now bakerpreneur, what do you see your brand saying as a story?
Okay, so Nitzana's vision, mission is to have that, what brand means. Brand is a trust, basically. So for Nitzana, I want to build a trust for all the moms out there in India, that they can trust this brand for their kids, for their families, that this is the clean label brand.
Okay.
We fetch each and every ingredient so wisely that it's just like choosing a healthy food for yourself. You go and see Nitzana's product on the shelf, and you will feel that, this is the product that I want to bring home, because it has a clean ingredients. It doesn't have any preservatives. It doesn't have any emulsifiers and everything.
Hmm.
So
So not a premix, not made from a premix or anything.
nothing.
It's interesting you say it because a lot of people that we give our products to, they say कि बेचने के लिए हम लोग compound बेचते हैं, खाने के लिए आपका product देना. So just to try and understand, you spoke about Nizana and how you've been building to try and make it synonymous with clean ingredients and make sure that I think there's very great, cool connection that if you can feed it to your child, you can feed it to anyone. Where do you see this going in the future, the next 5 years or so, given you all have just raised a round and you all are looking at growth across the country? What are the next steps for Nizana?
So for next journey of Nitzana would be, I think we will be able to serve more and healthier products apart from just bakes. We are focusing more on typical Indian nashta origins as well.
Okay.
But again, cakes and bakes are our primary focus. And we would love to open our baking bakeries across the India. We are right now providing cakes to 4 metros.
Wow.
And I think it's going good. And we would love to see other brands coming up with the clean ingredients as well in the baking thing. Like there are a lot of brands which are doing clean label. Those are clean label brands, but they are not doing the cakes part.
Baking. They're doing snacks or unfried snacks, something of that sort.
Cakes are the products or the food items that are not being touched by a lot of brands
as of now.
Yeah,
very true. I think it's you also mentioned subtly about the strategy that you all are already serving 4 metros, which is I think where the behavioral changes do happen for such ingredients, and
yes,
they've got probably a bigger purse to spend for cleaner ingredients, and then those are adopted later, especially in a place like Vadodara. People are aware, but at scale, I think place like Bombay, Hyderabad, or Bangalore, or Delhi would be, or even Ahmedabad to a degree, would be a better place to start. Yeah. One of the questions that I've always had, and this is also a point of our podcast, is as a female entrepreneur, what are the challenges that you all have faced? You mentioned a very interesting thing through your journey, that your maternal instinct came in, and that is the base of what you created with the brand. But your career, so-called career of being a doctor, took a backseat. But there's a new career that you've started off. How does being a female play into this transition and this journey?
I think I'm the happiest because I have found very few people get to live with their passion, and I'm the luckier one. So I used to love study. There I completed my MD with the passion of studying everything. And then I realized I don't want to practice medicine because certain rules were not matching with me. I absolutely wanted to give time to my family or the young kids. So there again, I listened to my heart and then followed my heart, and then Nitzana came up.
So that's when you said that's when Nitzana came about. Now within Nitzana, as a female entrepreneur, is there anything specific, any challenges that you faced?
Yeah. Actually, when I was baking from my home, there I felt that adjusting with the timings of the kids and everything. But then when we shifted to the professional space, again, finding the persons who can understand your morals, because a lot of people just know the baking as a premixes and just getting it baked. No, Nitzana is all about choosing the right ingredients, mixing up together, and baking a fresh cake or a fresh batch of cookie out of that.
Hmm.
That's all Nitzana is all about.
Nice. So it's interesting part of your journey that you mentioned. Great. I think by and large we've talked about a lot of things. Just wanted to ask you a few fun questions if you'd be open to answering them. If you had a sort of a movie that you would be making or a title to a book that you've been through so far, what would you give that book a title? What title would you give that book rather?
Okay, that's the. Sorry, I didn't read that question.
So we've got some curveballs in here where we've been talking. We just want to know your reactions to this and just try and understand the human behind Nijana.
Okay.
Try and understand Dr. Dhara as she is.
So, I personally feel that I'm a very serious kind of person. So, such questions, throwing such questions at me is. Anyways, I'll try my best. If movie, I think my whole world runs around Nitzana. So it will be Nitzana.
Nijana, interesting. So you're talking about the bird that goes into the bird that's associated with lotus, and probably the bird that's associated with your brand, your bakery, Nijana. And if you had a celebrity who you'd like to shoot a baking episode or something of that sort with, who do you think you should have on as a celebrity? It could be a celebrity chef, just a celebrity, not necessarily from the film world, but even beyond.
I think I would love to have Pooja Dhingra for that. But again, with my ingredients policies.
Yes. That will be, she's of course done a great job with her brand, and that would be.
She's a very good entrepreneur, bakerpreneur as well. And her journey is amazing.
Definitely. So nice. That should be one of our aims now, to get that done for y'all. And what is the song that is being stuck on loop? Of course, we are in the middle of Navratri right now.
So yeah, of course, Garba.
Garba.
Gori Raja ne Karo Kaan.
Of course, my wife's also been. She's not from here, but she's been listening to that on loop.
Does she understand anything?
She's understanding the feel of it and
of it.
beats,
Yes,
and
of
she's
course.
been dancing to it, but
Great.
understanding the beat essentially. And Sachin Jagar are nice flag bearers of such music. And if you had to, what is your favorite place to go and chill out with your family?
Okay, so I have a philosophy that if I need to go out to chill out, then probably I'm not loving my work. So for me, my workplace is my chill out zone, because I am myself at the workplace. So that is the happiness I have when I go to Nitzana or when I work for Nitzana.
Interesting. Nice. So that I think your daughter's also been baking. She just made an epic Nama cake, by the way, the other day, Nama chocolate.
I'm a chocolate.
And we've not shared it with anyone. Sorry, we just finished it in our house. But they are also involved with both of them, or just your daughter sort of involved with?
Yeah, my
helping out?
daughter is just 12. She has this inclination towards baking and confectionaries, basically. She loves bar.
Ah,
So basically, she wanted to prepare something from the 56% of the bar chocolate, and she found out that this is the chocolate I want to make. And she made it amazingly in the first attempt only. And now she has started selling her this Nama chocolate. Of course, it's local for
Hmm.
local regionally because it's a very temperature sensitive chocolate. So yeah, but her first order is out there, and the customer also loved the feel of the chocolate because the texture of the Nama chocolate is very important, and it is all due to basic ingredient, which is of course bar.
No, it's the melt in mouth feel is something that she's achieved to perfection. So that's epic. Generational makeup artist
Let's see how she
takes it
takes
forward.
it off the Nitzana.
Great to hear. And just one last question: if you were to basically shoot an episode at Nitzana, what is the favorite bake that you'd probably make on that episode?
Okay, the favorite bakes. So I would do the double choco chunk hazelnut cake, which is our one of the best bestseller, and it also has this ragi flour, whole wheat flour, jaggery, but it tastes amazing. And with Kuvarsha chocolate chunks in the cake, it is amazing. Like everybody loves this.
Nice. So if we come down to Nitzana, this is what we should be
Yeah.
trying out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Dara. Just talking about good chocolates and your child and children trying them out. Just wanted to, this is actually the first box that we've created of Indian origin chocolates.
Okay.
And we've been playing around with the flavors. This is essentially talking about the flavors that we get in Mangalorean cacao.
Okay.
And we've got a different range of variety. So please do try this out and do let us know how you find this.
Perfect.
But we don't have any hampers for the podcast.
I think this Khari Singh wala is the one which I would try first because Gujju in me is speaking out loud that you have to taste this first.
Yeah,
Got
that's I mean that's something we are proud of. So do let us know how you find that.
Sure.
And thank you so much. I think we are looking forward to more such flag bearers of clean ingredients and people who understand and want to communicate the love and passion for baking and ensure that other family kids are using the right ingredients. They're also aware. Our whole philosophy ki बाहर के chocolate से बना है या बाहर के chocolate से बना है. So that philosophy we want to try and extend out. We would love to have you back on board in our next season as well. But this is the very first episode, and thank you very much. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Daivat, for giving me the opportunity to share my vision and intentions with Nitzana.
It's our pleasure, and we hope that Nitzana not only reaches every city in India, but gets right out there as a flag bearer of Indian clean ingredients.
We will definitely do that.
Thank you.